Oh my God, I should stream more at this time of night. You are all so funny. This is hilarious. Let me try to figure out how to pause this thing. Thank you all for coming. We have somebody, I just reading the comments, it's hilarious. Wait, don't start yet. I need to get my whiskey from Dragon Logic. Shout out to Ken, not Sken Pickle, GQ Trader. I'm probably saying all these are wrong. JD, if I recall, and Martello. Thank you so much. This is a fun story today. It'll be a short one, only 25 nuggets, but it's going to be quite profound. Let's get into it. This is called, again, The Day That Fiat Dies. And more importantly, you remember me talking in early 2024 about my theory that long-term holders, Bitcoin maxis, were moving to ETFs. Now we have proof. Let's get into it. And of course, I'm just a guy on the internet. Thank you all for being here. And thank you as well to Patreon. Let's talk about the black hole first, see what happened. And it's been pretty quiet, but we do have some good news. We had a weak week, excuse the pun, but still, year to date, the ETFs have sucked in $5 billion. Remember, my target for 2025 is at least $40 billion. So we're 1/8 of the way there, right on track. And there's a lot more happening. The number of Bitcoin sucked in or out, not too much. This week was a net dump of about 2,500 Bitcoin, but we had a little bit of a positive day on Friday. And I did say on Thursday, it's very rare we go 5 negative days, and we had a positive day. Thank you to BlackRock. Now, this is going to get a little bit, my channel is about alpha. I don't care what form as long as it doesn't harm others. And everybody should, do their own research and have their own decisions and stuff. But PlanB moved to self-custody to ETF. And I called this early in 2024 when I was studying on-chain data. And I noticed a lot of long-term holders are moving out of their position ahead of the halving. And these people know what happens after the halving. Yeah, Bitcoin goes up. But, and I honestly didn't know that Bitcoin ETFs are so controversial. And in my view, ETFs are a logical step in Bitcoin adoption. Basically, next to not holding your own keys. Now, my choice from 2020 onwards, and again, the Bitcoin maxi's grown. I love Bitcoin. I'm fascinated by it. But I don't trust myself with my own keys, everybody, because anybody can be scammed. I could fall off my motorbike, bang my head, lose my keys. I could fall off my snowboard, bang my head, lose my keys. Heaven forbid, if I wanted to try a vaccine, I could take a vaccine and have an adverse effect, lose my keys. There's so much stuff that scares the hell out of me about self-custody, and that's the reason, yeah, you can have a little bit in the go bag just to be safe, but the majority of my Bitcoin is in the form of MicroStrategy and PlanB. And I'll always be honest and open and direct with this community. I have nothing to hide. But PlanB, and by the way, the MicroStrategy play was absolutely freaking golden. Using options, not even buying stock. Anyhow, enough of that. If you know the channel, you know me. But this is interesting. And PlanB, I'll read his tweet because it's quite profound. I have transferred my Bitcoin to ETFs. And remember, he is probably in the Netherlands, and there they have a very small capital gains tax on things like Bitcoin. Yes, I know, not your keys, not your coins, but it's just easier for me to manage Bitcoin the same way as equities and bonds. Can't believe he owns bonds, by the way. If he does, sorry for him. Anyhow, also, not having to hassle with my keys gives me peace of mind. I guess I'm not a maxi anymore. And there was probably a ton of outrage in the Twitterverse on this. But first of all, shout out to PlanB. I've always respected him. He's a decent, honest fellow. Second of all, the fact that he doesn't have to share this, like I don't have to share what I do, but I think it's good for us to do that, to help others make decisions. Always be honest, always be transparent. And I admire his honesty and transparency, despite the backlash. And PlanB is not afraid of backlash. He doesn't give a toss. Now, let's break this down into kind of the pros and cons of going back to ETFs. So for me, I always try and analyze everything in a matrix. So transferring Bitcoin to an ETF makes managing your investment easier, makes it transferable. You know, if anything, should anything ever happen, and people like me, I'm not getting any younger, and the cost is not just financial, but it's also philosophical. You know, a lot of people talk about the loss of sovereignty, and I'm just going to ramble here, but moving to an ETF means you're giving up your sovereignty. Now, if you are in a country where things are dangerous and you don't trust the government and you could be thrown in jail and you could have all your assets confiscated, if that's your situation, hell yeah, you need to self-custody the shit out of Bitcoin. But if you're not in that situation, and if you do have a very large bag, you need to think about other risks that could endanger your bag and your position and your net worth. Therefore, you got to strike the fine balance between those two things. And that's exactly the way I look at it. And that's exactly why I made my decision to move to MicroStrategy. Now, self-custody, always have a go bag, perhaps. But, you know, I have a tiny one, but I can't even touch it. And it is a revolutionary aspect of Bitcoin, which means you can, if you can remember your keys in your head, that's all you need. You're good to go. But the other thing that really bugs people is TradFi coming in, taking all the Bitcoin, you know, a bridge back to, you know, ETF or a bridge back to the traditional financial system to lock everything in. And that is also scary. So it's a religious conversation. You do you, I do me, PlanB does him, and that's how we go. So, but there is something else happening which we have to look at too. Again, the answer is in the charts. That's how I knew not only PlanB but other long-term holders were selling their Bitcoin spot and moving to ETFs because they want security for their families. They know Bitcoin price is going up. That's okay. That's cool. That's fine. But here, this is the other side of the coin. Excuse the pun, but you can see here, according to this, there is either an increased adoption of self-custody solutions, you know, wallets, etc. Because if you look at the amount of Bitcoin on exchange, it has shrunk a great deal. We are now at 13.7% of circulating supply on exchanges. That's lower than 15.7% of circulating supply, which is the last low we hit back in 2017, 2018. I think it's 2018. I can't really see the numbers. But the point is, there is still self-custody happening. And again, a lot of people in the world need to do that to protect themselves, to have that self-sovereignty. If you're living in a safe Western place, which very few countries are safe Western places these days, maybe you can trust TradFi. It's up to you. The other thing as well, the ETFs, the MicroStrategies of the world, they are snacking on Bitcoin because it's scarce, it's hard as can be. And therefore, this will continue to diminish in my mind, and that will drive price up, which takes me to the next part of the story. And this is the day that fiat dies. Again, it's kind of like a this Saturday video has become a bit of a philosophical one. And thank you all for bearing with me. But this was inspired by André Dragosch. And he thinks about this model every day. Yeah, it's power law. I don't believe in power law. But still, there's very interesting stuff in this parabolic model. And this model does predict Bitcoin's price using an exponential inverse hyperbolic tangent formula. Now, I like math, okay? So I love this stuff. And I suck it all up and I take in all the different models. I build my own models and I create composite scores of all the models. But what's so cool about this is the inflection in Bitcoin's price trend that happened on the 29th of July, 2019. And what it does, it predicts the day that fiat dies, which is May 21st, 2029. This is when Bitcoin's value is expected to surpass fiat currency's value due to the exponential growth. And here we are, adoption, growth, scarcity, and big players buying. This model means Bitcoin could hit astronomical levels. And again, you get it at the IQ you deserve. So let's talk about how the price can go up, because I know we've had 5 days at 97,000. Everybody's bored out of their minds. I get it. Let's talk about escape velocity. So this is now the status of the Bitcoin states. 32 states now have a strategic Bitcoin reserve in plan or an allocation strategy. 32 states. Shout out to number 31, Georgia. That's in the bottom right corner there, and West Virginia just above Georgia. They're dropping like flies. And it's only what should be some of the cleverest states are actually the dumbest states, because they will be stubborn, they will have their biases, and they will let them rule. But the other states are dropping like flies. So now, once you get above 25, it's escape velocity. We are here, ladies and gentlemen. This will fill out. The whole map will be gold within 3 months. Guaranteed. With a few stupid exceptions of states that are just silly. But I'm not going to talk about those. I know who they are already. Anyway, I'll give you a clue. One is on the left, one will be on the right. Now, Vivek said this. I shared this exactly a week ago. State of Texas to buy up to $500 million in Bitcoin every year. No one is bullish enough. But guess what? Wisconsin bit the bullet. They've already bitten off nearly $321 million, which is nearly $500 million, close to Texas. And Wisconsin is tiny compared to Texas. Teeny, teeny, tiny. Shout out to everybody in Wisconsin too if you're listening. And it's not just Wisconsin buying, and this goes back to the whole scarcity. Dubai buys $500 million in IBIT Bitcoin ETFs. So you got PlanB buying Bitcoin ETFs. You have Wisconsin buying BlackRock IBIT Bitcoin ETFs. And now Mubadala, which is basically the sovereign wealth fund of Dubai, pretty much. And this was forecasted by CZ. He said Dubai already has Bitcoin in reserves, and it's inevitable for Hong Kong to buy Bitcoin. So here we are. Now, why do we care? Because everybody is stacking. But let the games begin. This is Joe Consorti talking about the Sovereign Wealth Fund is now actively accumulating Bitcoin. Trump had better hurry up. The global Bitcoin arms race has begun. I've been calling it a Bitcoin arms race for years. I love that people are using this term. Shout out to Joe as well. Abu Dhabi Sovereign Wealth Fund accumulate nearly $500 million of Bitcoin ETFs in Q1. Boom, here we go. And remember as well, another point of view regarding Bitcoin and where we are. Check this out. Gold is gold. Red is Bitcoin. It is tiny. Actually, red is crypto, not even Bitcoin. It's like 3 trillion versus gold, 19 trillion. We have a long way to go, ladies and gentlemen. Early days yet. Gold demonetization is happening, and people like Peter Schiff are still butthurt. He was mocking PlanB today. Very disrespectful as usual, but let's not give Peter Schiff any oxygen. Now, who else is stacking? Well, PAUL TUDOR JONES. This is a crazy week, by the way, because Ray Dalio and Stan Druckenmiller, who already have Bitcoin bags, they also bought a lot of Bitcoin this week. At least we found out this week. But another legend, by the way, I have 3 of my favorite investing legends. Okay, they are Ray Dalio, Stan Druckenmiller, PAUL TUDOR JONES. I read everything they write. I watch everything they do, and I have done this for years. I always follow the best, smartest investors, the best, smartest people, bar none. That's it. I don't follow numpties. I follow people who know what they're doing. These 3 all own Bitcoin, and it's very exciting. But PAUL TUDOR JONES just doubled his Bitcoin bag, and he said it's the only thing that humans can't adjust the supply in. The only thing. I'm always going to stick with it. And he doubled his position again in BlackRock's IBIT ETF, which has a management fee of 25 basis points, which is nothing to pay them to secure your bag. And yes, BlackRock is not going to betray you. Their reputation, managing nearly $12 trillion, biggest money run on the planet, they're not going to let you down. But literally, there is more. This is crazy. Stablecoin growth is going exponential. It is going to the moon. And this will fuel Bitcoin. Okay, as this goes up, Stablecoins are issued, and then they get deposited to buy Bitcoin and other cryptos too. And then you got TradFi. Visa is now giving Bitcoin rewards. This was not on my bingo card, but they are now partnering with a company called Fold, and you'll be able to get Bitcoin rewards for your credit card. Wow. I mean, the pace at which stuff is changing is insane, ladies and gentlemen. And finally, two of my favorite things are coming together, crypto and F1. This goes back to the stablecoin story because that fuels crypto. Why I like it, but I also like Formula One. So Aston Martin Aramco partners with Coinbase, marking the first Formula One deal fully paid in USDC. Absolutely fantastic time to be alive. I hope you enjoyed the show. This is just so much craziness happening. Everybody, Super Soul Man, thank you for coming. American Beijing, I love you, man. Sean Donnelly, do you ever sleep? You're always there. I want to just thank everybody. I am personally excited for the story today. I had to put a lot of pieces together. It took a lot of time. Sorry for being 3 hours late. Hope you enjoyed it. Smash the like on the way out. This is funny. Everything happens for a reason. And again, ignore the Bitcoin price action. We are going north soon. Look at who is stacking. Follow what the wise money is doing. Thank you, everybody, for coming. And American Beijing, you are my hero, my friend. And Sean Donnelly, have a good night. Good night, everybody. Thank you all for being here. Bye-bye.